Hello and welcome to episode 127 of Radio Gore Press. I'm Sarah. Joining me as always is not Phil.
Mm-mm.
Where's Phil?
I don't know. Is he under the table?
He's not under the table, no. He is nowhere to be found.
No.
He is otherwise engaged this week, so I have got the wonderful Dan from the Twin Picks podcast.
Hello.
Who doesn't talk like that under normal circumstances.
Time to play.
No.
What? I'm filling in.
I'm
filling in
Okay.
for Phil.
Are you going to filibuster?
I hope I'm not a Philistine.
How long can we drag this out for? I think I'm clean out of Phil puns.
I don't know. I can only think of Philharmonic Orchestra now, and I can't make that fit a sentence.
No. Well, you kind of just did.
Oh, there you go.
Excellent work. So we did a bit of a switcheroo at the last minute because Phil wasn't available. He's very busy this week. We were supposed to cover a film that was a request from one of our amazing patrons, but we didn't feel right covering that without Phil here. So I deferred to you. And this is your choice.
It is.
Not only is it your choice, this is somehow a first-time watch for me.
That blows my mind.
It blows my mind. I don't know how I've avoided it this long.
No, it's I've been super familiar with it for 25 years.
Yeah.
So
you've been talking about it for quite, as long as I've known you, basically.
Yeah.
You've been talking about this film.
Yeah. And it's unusual that I have seen a film and you haven't.
I don't think that's true. It's
horror.
it's unusual that you've seen a horror film that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
It was novel. It was a novel experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we watched it together last night and I withheld all of my feelings.
Yeah.
So as not to spoil the conversation.
And covering your notes like it was an exam.
Yeah. Raising my hand before I could go to the toilet. No, we didn't take it that far. So what are we covering?
We are covering Tales From The Crypt presents Demon Knight.
We are indeed 1995's Demon Knight. I have been aware of this film for a while. I don't think I knew quite how well loved it is. That was a surprise to me.
Yes, I think I probably watched it when it premiered on Sky Movies, probably around 96, so I would have been about 12. And so I've been aware of it since then.
Okay.
But increasingly over the years, I found that more and more people have, I don't know if they've just recently become aware of it. Maybe it's just started to get more of a cult following.
Yeah.
But certainly for the first 5 years up until about 2000, I would speak to people about it and I go, what are you talking about? But you'd have to explain Tales From The Crypt because I think a lot of people are familiar with the TV show.
So they were put off by that connection, do you think?
I think so. Yeah, maybe. Or maybe it just wasn't as well known because it was difficult to get hold of.
Yeah.
I think it's streaming in a few places, but you need to kind of rent it on likes of Amazon, stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think it's super well known, but the people that do have seen it, I think generally it's pretty well liked.
Yeah, I had a quick squiz on Letterboxd last night and a bunch of people I know had rated it really highly. Yeah. Joe Lynch was banging on about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said it's like one of his annual Halloween rewatches, I believe.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see this kind of being a good double header with something like Trick or Treat every Halloween.
Yes. Yeah. Or You're Next or...
Yeah. It's the right sort of fun vibe, I guess. So before we delve into it, for those who aren't familiar, firstly, we are going to be quite spoilery, as always.
Yeah.
Secondly, have you got a synopsis for us?
Well, I have. Yes.
Okay.
So if you just bear with me for a second while I grab the DVD case. Sech der Schloss zum Tor der Haben die Dimension.
Okay.
Herr Stjarnen bereits in Inthrin Bietz gebracht der Siebt word.
I think you've made your point. Do not adjust your whatever device you're listening on.
Von.
Dan is reading German badly.
You read it.
I'd rather not. I can't read text that small.
I was struggling. I just made that up. So
do you have a synopsis in English? It's like more fool me. I should have stipulated.
Yeah, you should have, really.
That's my fault.
You have to always stipulate what language you want a response in, because I'm multilingual.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can tell.
Clearly. The synopsis on Letterboxd is super short. So I checked IMDb, and that was exactly the same synopsis, like a one-liner. So it's a shame we can't read the back of that DVD, because it's super long.
That could have been absolute gold.
Detail.
And we would never know.
Yeah, I wonder, like, if anyone listens. How was my German? Listeners? Does anyone speak German?
I did German at school, and that sounded pretty terrible.
What did I say?
I have no idea.
I could have said anything.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Okay, so Letterboxd. A man on a run is hunted by a demon known as the Collector. End of synopsis.
I think that might be the shortest synopsis in the history of this podcast.
It's got the word demon in it.
It's accurate, I guess.
It's not. Yeah, it tells you what's happening in the film.
But also at the same time, fuck all.
Yeah.
It tells you everything, but also nothing.
Which is not bad. I mean...
Well, that's a good point, actually, because you did say to me, like, go in... Like, I knew very little about this film. And I think at one point you sort of said it might be more enjoyable to go in... Well, obviously, you should go into every film as blind as possible, right?
I think I'd recommend that, going into a film blind as many times as possible.
Yeah. I mean, you can only really do it once per film.
You can.
Unless you're really forgetful, I suppose. Or unless you can figure out how to harness the technology from Eternal Sunshine.
Is that the one where you forget? I can't remember that movie.
Very good.
Shall I go back to German?
Maybe. You're having more success. So I'm still going to withhold my opinions.
Are you going to keep me waiting until the end?
I am, yeah.
Okay. So Man on a Run is William Sadler.
It is. 2 William Sadler films on the trot for this podcast.
Yeah, you did The Mist.
The Mist, yeah.
And that has old saddlebags in it as well.
Is that how he's known?
Yeah.
Colloquially. Old saddlebags.
That's what we call them in the pub.
Right.
Sadbagler. Also played Death.
He did.
In Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
I think that's probably what he's most well known for, isn't it?
I think so. Most well known, yes. I know he's in Shawshank Redemption, smaller part.
Yeah, he's not somebody that would kind of spring to my mind when I think about Shawshank, though.
No. Was he in VFW?
Yes. Yes. I don't know now. I feel like he must be.
I think so.
Like, I'm trying to picture all the grizzled veteran faces on the front cover, and he would fit right in.
Yeah.
If he's not in it, it was a missed opportunity.
John Kreese was in it from Karate Kid, I think.
Okay.
And anyway, that's a different...
Yeah, we're not covering VFW, but you should watch VFW. It's great.
Yeah, and actually not unlike this movie in a way. It's kind of a siege.
Stuck in a Place.
Stuck in a Place,
yeah. Well, this is how you sold it to me, because Stuck in a Place is kind of your thing, isn't it?
I love Stuck in a Place movies.
Yeah. I think you kind of have to be, when you're limited with the scope of the location, you have to be a bit more inventive.
Agreed.
And I think they definitely did that by the bucket load in this film.
I think so. In actual fact, I think the weakest stuff in this movie, and not to start with a negative, but I think the weakest stuff in it is when they're outside of the place in which they are stuck, i.e. the beginning of the movie.
Do you think?
For me,
okay.
I mean, it was a pretty low budget, so I'm not going to knock it, but that car chase was a bit ropey. It wasn't great.
I mean, I'm not as well versed in car chases as you, so I'll take your word for that. It didn't light my world on fire.
Unlike the car.
Unlike the cars, yeah.
Which did catch on fire. Yeah, it wasn't brilliant, but you can forgive it that. And
yeah,
I think it was more, whenever I see cars sped up in the movie. Like literally, they've just
is that?
do it. Yeah,
That I didn't even clock that.
You can always spot it, and it always throws me a little bit. And then when William Sadler, what's his name in the movie? I forget. Breaker.
Yeah,
Frank Breaker.
As if you're asking me for names. That's my one blind spot.
Frank Breaker. He shoots the collector's car with a shotgun and it just catches fire.
Yeah.
And then it very slowly rolls into William Sadler's car and they both explode.
Well, in fairness, I'm more open to that because of the supernatural tone of the film.
Yeah.
I think like the laws of physics as we know them do not necessarily need to apply when you're dealing with demons.
Agreed. Yeah, that's a fair point.
But I think that's also a fair criticism. And it's good to get the bad stuff out of the way straight off the bat.
Well, that's kind of my thinking. It's the start of the movie. Once Old Saddlebags actually gets into the place in which they are stuck.
Yeah.
That's when it really becomes what it is, which is a siege movie, essentially, when they're all trapped in there and the collector's trying to get in to get what Saddlebags has got.
That sounds really ominous.
Does it?
Like
what he's got?
Way more ominous than what actually happens. Yeah, no, you're right. I think as soon as they get stuck in the place, things kind of ratchet up a notch, and it doesn't really stop.
I think
it's really pacey.
It is super well paced. Once it gets going with the collector. And him kind of revealing who he is to be a bit of a naughty man.
That's one way of putting it.
Yeah, it really ramps up and escalates super quick.
Yeah.
It's like 1 minute they're all sitting around a table chatting and the next minute people's heads are coming off.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really let off. Maybe it lets its foot off the gas a little bit, but there's
I would agree with that, but there isn't what I would call like a lull really at any point.
No, but I was just about to say that it lets its foot off gas ever so slightly and then it hits you with another set piece.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to escape through various routes or Thomas Hayden Church's being a dickbag to everybody.
Thomas Hayden Church looking weirdly like multiverse Jack Noseworthy.
Yes, I can see that.
Like, was that role originally written for him, but he couldn't make it?
You might be right. Maybe he was off doing Event Horizon at that point.
Maybe.
Or Breakdown.
95. Yeah.
Was he in Breakdown? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm focused on Kurt Russell when I'm watching that film.
But, Thomas Hayden Church, he had time to do this and then George of the Jungle as well. So, and also he had
Renaissance man.
He had the same hairdo, I think, in George of the Jungle.
Who was he in George of the Jungle?
He wasn't George.
No, because that was Brendan Fraser.
He was the bad guy that wanted to catch the John Cleese ape.
Jesus Christ. I don't remember anything about that film in that case.
Oh, we covered it. We covered it for an episode. It's terrible. It's not good. Yeah, he's the bad guy, basically.
Okay.
You know? And it was maybe a bit of typecasting because he's the bad guy in this as well. What else has he done?
Spider-Man. Yeah, that was the only other thing that kind of jumped to mind.
Baddie in that too.
He is.
Well,
sort of,
yeah.
Kind of misunderstood.
Yeah.
Baddie, I guess.
I guess so. But that's the other thing with this. Like, with Demon Knight, it's a good cast.
It's a really good. Like, I was surprised.
Surprisingly good cast.
But like full of people who the average person wouldn't necessarily know their names, but be like, oh, I know that face.
Guy.
Yeah,
I know that guy.
Yeah. Oh, from that thing.
Oh, her. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a whole cast of those kind of faces.
Yes. Who have you got? You got obviously Jada Pinkett before the Smith came.
Yeah, this is a strange week to be talking about Jada Pinkett, given everything that happened at the Oscars. And unless you're listening to this the week the show comes out, this will be very irrelevant, I'm sure.
Yeah. Why? What happened? It's not like my entire Instagram feed has just been filled with
some
Will
Smith on
memes.
rock violence.
Yeah.
We'll save our opinions on that. I think that's best left alone.
Yeah, we'll leave it alone. Jada Pinkett. Who else?
Billy Zane.
Which
I don't know why, but was a complete revelation to me in this.
Isn't he glorious?
He's fantastic. But like, what happened to Billy Zane? He was great in this.
Yes. What else is he outside of Titanic? I don't think I could name, and Phantom, obviously.
Yeah.
What else?
Yikes.
I mean, he's certainly not in the top shelf movies that you see. Maybe he does some super low key indie stuff that I'm just not aware of. But
I mean, he was kind of quite a big name in the late 90s. This would have been sort of close to the peak of his career.
Peak Zane, yeah.
But then he was kind of like regarded as a bit of a, like he became a bit of a footnote, a bit of a joke, didn't he? And I don't know why, because he's good.
He's great. Out of all of the Billy Zane things that I've seen, this is easily my favourite performance of his. I'm not a big Titanic fan anyway, but he was the villain in... Was he a villain? I guess he was that
yeah,
other
kind
man
of.
Wanted to... Did he sink? He didn't sink the boat. He just was,
he wasn't the iceberg.
no, Billy Zane as iceberg.
That would have been some out-of-the-box casting.
Do you know, it would have improved that movie. Cast Billy Zane as the iceberg.
I agree, actually, because all of the reviews will be like, there is a twist around the 2-hour mark that you will not see coming.
Yeah, everyone will go and be like, oh, I know the ending to this movie. No, you don't.
Think again.
No, you don't. Yeah, Billy Zane, glorious, glorious performance in this. I love it. Would constantly quote some of the things that he says in this movie as a child. Would drive people insane. Yeah, probably some of it not great, actually, coming from a 12-year-old's mouth. Yeah. But hey, that was my childhood. I'm from Essex. Living LA. Brilliant. Really funny. I think there was a lot of ad-libs from what I've heard. There? Yeah, I think his character was pretty locked in, but he offered a lot of the more comedic side, I think, that was from him, essentially. A lot of it is delivery, obviously, but
That's
I think...
crazy.
Yeah.
Why is he regarded as, like, just this nothing actor these days? It's so crazy.
I mean, it is possible that he just doesn't want big roles.
I guess so. I was shocked. Like, I was expecting this film to be fun. I wasn't expecting it to be funny. And I don't know why, because I'm familiar with, like, The Crypt Keeper, and I have a basic knowledge of Tales from the Crypt. Yeah. But I wasn't expecting it to be, like, full of actual gags.
It is. I think it's really funny, actually. And
I think it threw me because I wasn't really anticipating it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can understand that. I think I would have liked a bit more Zane.
Okay.
A bit more Zane. I do think there's a section in the middle where he's kind of missing. You don't see
very much of him, yeah.
But, you know, maybe absence makes the heart grow fonder, who knows. I would like to have seen a bit more of him in it, but what you do get is great.
It's gold.
Yeah. Who else?
What, CCH Pounder?
Oh, I know who you mean. Yes.
The lady who owns the motel. Is it a motel? Are we calling it a motel?
I think technically it's not a motel because you don't park your car in front of it. Okay. I think technically it's a hotel. From
the outside, it looks like an asylum.
Yeah.
Like the weirdest hotel I've ever seen.
Yeah. I'd stay there, though.
Would you?
Yeah.
What, demons and all?
I mean, if there were demons, I'd certainly ask for a discount.
You wouldn't stay there because there's a cat.
That's true. That
would be enough to keep you away. Yeah. Is it a quick question about the intro?
Okay.
As somebody who isn't terrifically well versed in Tales from the Crypt, that music, is that like the Tales from the Crypt music, or is it specific to this film?
That is the Tales from the Crypt music, if I remember correctly.
Because it's great.
Isn't it? It's super memorable. Yeah. And I've been whistling it all day.
Have you?
I've been typing away on a spreadsheet. It's great. Yes, I think it was on the show. I don't recall the show an awful lot. I kind of... Tales from the Crypt, The Outer Limits, all of those...
Show, everything sort of blended into one in my memory.
Same for me. I can remember certain plot points and certain storylines, but I'm not sure which one of those shows it's from.
Yeah.
But I certainly was super aware of Tales from the Crypt. I think it ran from 89 to 96 or something.
Oh, wow. So a decent run then.
Yeah, I think so. But super memorable intro music, and the Crypt Keeper is delightfully silly.
I mean, You know me. I love
I do know you.
kind of elevated horror. I love my A24. I do think what modern horror is missing is a really camp horror host to bookend films.
You don't see that anymore, do you?
Not in this way, no. There's been a little bit of a resurgence because obviously there are the Shudder exclusive Joe Bob Briggs episodes. Okay. And he's probably the most well-known horror host outside of Elvira.
Okay.
But that's all really these days. And it's just him kind of doing wraparound for existing films. It's more of like a mystery science theatre thing than anything else.
Like it's just sort of this film and then
yeah.
How was this film?
Yeah, and just doing the silly little kind of wraparound segments.
Yeah, okay.
Introducing. I'm
not familiar, but I would like to see more of this kind of stuff. That was the one thing that I was worried about going into this film and watching it again, is wondering if the Crypt Keeper stuff would really sort of take me out of it a bit and find it a bit silly. But it
was fun. It was in keeping with it though.
Yeah, it's not a serious movie, although it's pretty brutal.
We'll get to this. It deals with some like heavier stuff than I anticipated.
I think I know what you're getting.
You know exactly where
I remember seeing your pen starting to scribble on the page when certain scenes started to happen. Yeah.
But yeah, I was a little bit worried straight off the bat.
Yeah.
Because obviously you have that kind of fake out where the Crypt Keeper is directing this fake movie.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh God, this isn't the whole thing, is it? We're not going to get that like Shannon Tweed late night Channel 5 caliber acting the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was incredibly relieved
Good.
when that wasn't the case.
Good.
But that was well done.
Yes.
I admire the fake out.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. And then Crypt Keeper does his little intro bit and then it gets into the movie and it gets going. And as you say, there's a wraparound at the start and at the end. And there's a lot of kind of Tales from the Crypt stuff weaved into it as well. You've got the kids.
The comic book.
Your comic book, yeah. I think they actually did a pass on the script where they were asked to make it more Tales from the Crypty.
Okay.
So they added that stuff in.
Well, it wasn't written as Tales from the Crypt, was it?
No, it was originally a spec script.
Yeah.
And they were looking to make a trilogy of Tales from the Crypt movies.
Right.
And they were looking to acquire, I think on a documentary that someone mentioned From Dusk Till Dawn, and they were actually originally looking to acquire that script. Tarantino maybe was too expensive.
For Tales from the Crypt?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I can see that, to be honest. When they mentioned it, I was like, I think that would work, you know.
I'm struggling to imagine the Crypt Keeper introducing From Dusk Till Dawn, but
agreed.
I think,
now you mention it, yeah.
Like tonally, I could see it, but I don't know. In a different universe, maybe.
In a different universe, there's a Tales from the Crypt From Dusk Till Dawn movie.
Yeah.
So they were looking to acquire From Dusk Till Dawn. Didn't happen. They did get hold of this script and I think a few drafts, and they kind of moulded it into shape for it to be Tales from the Crypt movie.
Okay.
They did another one after called Bordeaux of Blood, which I haven't seen.
See, I feel like I have seen that, but probably like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't remember very much about it.
It's got Corey Feldman in it.
It does have Corey Feldman in it.
I haven't seen it, and the reviews aren't very good, so I'm not in a hurry.
It's definitely not as highly regarded as this film. I did read a little bit of trivia that says the key from this movie does make an appearance in Bordeaux of Blood as well.
Ooh.
So there is like, I don't know how much of an appearance, but there is a tiny bit of continuity at least. Or they're acknowledged as being in the same universe.
Oh, cool. So cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Tales from the Crypt cinematic universe.
Yes.
With Corey Feldman.
They're not going to rival Marvel anytime soon, but yeah.
Oh, don't say that.
Maybe they'll revive Tales from the Crypt.
I hope so. I would actually really like to see that.
I hope so.
I'd also like to see a sequel to this movie.
Yeah, I bet you would. But only with Billy Zane.
Or
do you think it would be, given how the film plays out, do you think retconning that would be cheap?
I mean, I don't mind if they retcon it. It's a bit of a silly movie, a bit of fun.
Yeah.
I'm fine with them retconning it. I think Billy Zane does make this movie, although I did enjoy Sad Wags as well.
They really played well off each other, I thought.
Yeah.
Because William Sadler is not, like, I kind of know him more as the comedic one, but he was like the straight man in this.
Very much so. Yeah. I don't even know. He cracked a smile once, I think, when he told them that everyone's doomed and you're all fucked and you're all going to die.
And that's the moment he cracked a smile.
He's like, do you feel better?
Sicko.
Yeah. But yeah, he was very straight, very serious. He had that kind of, I guess, that seriousness that you would if you were kind of trying to...
yeah, if you'd been alive as long as he had, doing what he'd been doing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know the lore. Actually, this film has got a lot more lore than I banked on.
Yes.
Like, the world building is, for a film like this, is really good.
For a 92-minute in and out movie, it does incredibly well at setting up, well, certainly all the characters, but also...
But the mythology.
The world, as you say.
I was really shocked by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, back when films had the decency of being 90 minutes and done.
Yeah, there's far too many 2-hour, 3-hour movies these days.
Everything's 3 hours now. It's too much.
I know. I agree. Even the Batman was too long.
Which is saying something for you.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, really good world building. Lots to dig into if you want to. And I mean, lots of... Obviously, the practical effects were very good. And
I've got a lot.
Have you got a note to get onto the practical effects?
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Okay.
Can I just quickly say, back to, you were talking about the script and how it kind of been passed around. I read a bit of trivia that basically said, I don't have any of the information that you had.
Okay.
What I had is that the script was passed around to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Tom Holland, the guy who directed the first Child's Play, I think it was... I think he did before Spider-Man.
Before Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm doubting myself now.
No, that doesn't ring a bell.
Tom Holland was originally penciled in to direct. Then it was passed along to a few other directors, and it still didn't come to fruition. It ended up on Mary Lambert's desk at one point, who directed Pet Sematary.
Right.
And then it went to Full Moon Pictures. This could have been a very different film if Charles Band had got his hands on it.
I'm not familiar with Full Moon Pictures.
Full Moon Pictures are kind of, I guess, most well known for like the Puppet Master movies. And they do such magnum opuses as Evil Bong and The Ginger Dead Man.
The Ginger Dead Man?
Yes, with Gary Busey as a murderous...
I should have guessed.
Gingerbread Man, yeah.
Oh. I missed that one, unfortunately.
I have it. We'll get to it.
Of course you do.
If you're really good, I'll let you watch the sequels too. But yeah, it could have been a very, very different picture. Very different.
Yeah.
And then it ended up with Joel Silver, who finally greenlit it.
Yeah.
As Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had quite the journey.
Yeah, it seems like it did have quite the journey. But it all worked out well.
It did.
It all worked out well in the end. So...
It felt like there was a thought there.
There was almost a thought. And then I thought, oh no, this pause is long. And then I thought, this pause is probably not as long as you think it is. It was the whole thing.
Oh, brains. Aren't they great?
Yeah.
Going back to the hotel very quickly. As soon as I saw it, my first thought was, is that a model? But they're kind of pictured walking towards it. And I wondered if there was some, like, I don't know if they'd been superimposed. They didn't look like they'd been superimposed. So I wondered if it was some forced perspective going on, which I fucking love.
Yeah.
One of my favourite example is in The Gate.
Yes, I know the scene that you're talking about.
It's so clever when it's done well, but I couldn't find any information on it, sadly.
And it still looks better than CGI.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100 times.
Yeah.
Out of 100 looks better than everything looks better than CGI. Oh, this is coming off the back of The Mist last week.
Yeah, you had some issues with the CGI tentacles, didn't you?
I always have issues with CGI.
No, I totally agree.
Nothing ages a film faster.
Yeah, no, agreed. Some of these 80s and 90s movies have aged really well because of practical effects. Because they weren't able to use CGI. Although, having said that, I mean, you always bring up Jurassic Park. But that has aged well. And that was kind of a mixture of...
It was, yeah.
A good mixture of CGI, practical, and
it was restrained CGI, which is fine.
Yeah.
I think CGI, like the best CGI is seamless. You don't know you're seeing it. So a lot of really great CGI exists. You just don't know that it's true. CGI.
Yeah.
Whereas the stuff you know about is because it's glaringly obvious. Or like Game of Thrones, because, you know, dragons don't exist. Sometimes that makes it obvious.
What?
I'm sorry.
What?
I know you didn't plan on that bombshell.
Dragons don't exist.
They don't. I'm so sorry.
You'll be telling me that Santa doesn't exist next.
I'm saying nothing. This does seem like a really good place to talk about the practical effects, though. And I will say that the effects were probably my favourite thing in the film. I think, as I always say, like the phrase necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
It's probably really kind of, it's just so well done in this film, because I think the budget was like, what, 13 million?
Yeah.
I think I remember.
12, 13 million, I think I read, yeah.
So they did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, they did great. And I think inevitably there were plans to go bigger with the effects. But they kind of refined what they were doing and had to scale it down. But what they ended up doing was really, really creative.
Yeah.
With the bodysuits for the demons. And
I fucking loved the demon design.
It was great.
It really reminded me of something else, and I cannot for the life of me think what. They were so familiar, but I really like what they did because they kind of look like sort of burnt orcs.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe it.
They've got a Predator vibe for me.
You got Predator, did you?
Because of the long hair and...
Yeah.
I mean, Predators don't have piercings, I don't think.
That you know of.
I have not seen all of the Predators.
No.
So,
there's bound to be some that are like rebelling against mum and dad Predator.
Probably some of them have got tattoos. And,
yeah.
I don't know, maybe one of them's got a tattoo of an alien or... a Sigourney Weaver or something.
Or the cat.
The cat. Oh yeah, the cat. It's another cat movie. Yeah, practical effects great.
I will say I wasn't a huge fan, and this is going to be no surprise. Like the glowing eyes were fine, but kind of when they were shot, the really, really hokey CGI.
I can see. Yeah, that's probably the weakest element visually of this movie.
Yeah. But because of the tone of the movie, it doesn't bother me as much as it did in something like The Mist.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. And it was quite minor, really. You had all the good stuff with the practical effects, then you had that. Yeah. You got to shoot them in the eyes, and like you say, the lasers come out, and you can spot it a mile off. And there's another scene towards the end where Billy Zane has a fire penis moment.
Yeah. And I wasn't a huge fan of that. You laughed out loud.
I enjoyed it. I do enjoy that scene. I think that's pretty good. But I think it was a much tamer version of, I forget who it was, but someone had suggested a kind of really inappropriate kind of forcing yourself on Jada Pinkett type scene.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So that was kind of the compromise, which is something I mentioned in that documentary, which I think was called The Siege, which I would recommend if you're a fan of the movie. It's actually on YouTube as well. Okay.
You don't just have to get hold of the German Blu-ray.
Not just the German Blu-ray, and you don't have to work out how to change the language. So I think, I enjoyed that. Okay. And knowing what it could have been also was like, that was the right call.
Well, yes. Now that you've said that, I appreciate it more than I did.
Yeah, but there were many moments when it was difficult because it was one of those times where, I don't know if clearly you've had this experience when you're showing someone a movie, or you're watching a movie with someone for the first time, and you're really curious and a little bit nervous about how they're going to take it. Because I love this film. It's from my childhood. I've seen it a lot of times. I remember most of it. Some things I'd forgotten. So I was kind of like side-eyeing you a lot of the time.
Were you?
Watching it.
I didn't even notice.
And I was like, oh God, what do you think of this bit? And do you hate it? Am I a terrible person? What's happening? Is the world going to end?
I didn't hate it.
Okay.
You might be a terrible person, but for different reasons.
It's like German.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you genuinely wonder what my opinion was?
Yeah, I did.
Do I have a better poker face than I think?
Yeah, you must have.
Okay.
You must have. Because I was enjoying watching it and I laughed. But part of me was kind of wondering what you thought about it.
Okay.
So I enjoyed rewatching it, but I did definitely have that kind of distraction as well.
So did it like dampen your enjoyment a little bit?
I wouldn't say dampen my enjoyment because
Okay.
I think this movie is so much fun that it's difficult to dampen any of my fun of it.
I could see that.
Yeah. It was something I was thinking about.
Okay.
It was on the tip of my brain.
Okay. I didn't hate it, don't worry.
Good.
I have left you waiting 24 hours to say that.
Yeah, you have. I've been waiting with bated breath.
But going back to the demons, I really enjoyed the demon makeup as like the full sort of human size. When they first sort of start birthing the demon, I don't know, like when they start appearing, and they're like these small sort of puppety things. That I hate it. There aren't words for how much I hated that. You know, I hate sweaty puppets.
You do.
And this was like, in hindsight, this is the natural evolution of sweaty puppets to become gooey puppets.
Yes.
And I think I hate gooey puppets more than sweaty puppets.
You hate gooey puppets more than sweaty puppets?
Yeah.
So if you had a gooey puppet and a sweaty puppet in front of you, you would choose a sweaty puppet over the gooey puppet?
If I had to, yeah.
Okay.
If it was like choose one or death, then I would probably opt for the sweaty puppet.
Okay, fair enough. I enjoyed the gooey puppets.
Did you?
I did, yeah. Oh, awful, horrible to look at.
Well, yeah.
I wouldn't want to...
I think they were well done. It was fun, but like gross.
Yeah, great. I mean, I wouldn't want to share a bath with one, but I thought they looked great.
Okay.
And it was quite inventive, I thought, with the splashing Zane, the collector splashing his blood on the ground, and up pops these demon babies.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his blood, of course, was glow stick fluid.
Of course it was.
Because they pulled the old reanimator trick.
Okay. Yeah. I've never taken a glow stick apart.
Don't. Please don't.
I might try and birth some gooey demons.
Oh, I hope you don't.
I won't do it in the house. Do it in the garden.
Okay. I'll allow it. I also kind of want to take a minute to mention Ernest Dickerson, the director of this film.
Yeah.
I am not familiar with his work, and I regret to say, I think the first time I'd ever heard of him was during the Horror Noir documentary. And that was probably the most I'd ever seen of Demon Knight, was also clips from that documentary as well. He has done like a few other films that I'm familiar with, and a couple that I've actually seen. He did that awful Adam Sandler movie Bulletproof, which was just...
Oh, what? He did Future Sport.
He did Future Sport.
Well, it was Future Sport.
Oh, isn't Dean Cain in it?
It sounds like a Dean Cain movie, doesn't it?
Yeah, Dean Cain. Wesley Snipes.
That's much better than...
But he also did Bones, which was that one with Snoop Dogg.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I do remember that one.
I remember not enjoying it at all.
But as a lot of people have echoed in their Letterboxd reviews, I'm kind of amazed that him pulling off this film on a 13 million budget didn't result in better gigs for him after the fact.
Yeah, and it was quite well received, I think, even at the time.
Yeah.
And I think did quite well financially. Did okay anyway.
Even to this day, it's got really good averages everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious as to why he didn't get more work off the back of it. Yeah, funny. Looking at that list, it is kind of straight to DVD.
It's not great,
kind of
is it?
Generic action movies. Big Shot.
Juice.
Juice.
That's probably the most well-known, and that's only because it's got Tupac in it. But
Okay, I don't know.
It's kind of, it's crazy to me. I think he's done a lot of TV episodes.
Okay.
So he's clearly been working steadily.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I think this was kind of a feat.
Agreed.
And I think the direction was actually really interesting. I made a couple of notes. There was a point at which we get like bullet cam and some scenes like where you're following the cat. There was some really like cool dynamic camera work in it. So it wasn't even just like a point and shoot studio horror.
Yeah.
It was really interesting.
Yeah, it was done really well. And I think any stuck in a place films, they can go one or two ways. Like they can be really bad or really good. Obviously you get the ones in between, but as a general rule, I think in order to make a good one, you've got to have certain things, and you've got to have the good characters, memorable characters. It helps having a Billy Zane in there.
It does.
But to pull off something that kind of is relentlessly paced, must be quite difficult in a stuck in a place movie, because where do you go? I mean, obviously they went down to the basement and then they went up into the loft, and they kind of played with the locations within that single location. Yeah. But I thought that was really interesting, that he managed to just keep the pace going. Yeah. In a stuck in a place movie like that.
And make it visually interesting. It never felt claustrophobic.
No.
I never felt like the location restricted the camera work or the story in any way.
No.
It didn't, like, there was no point really where the camera was just sort of static and boring. It was all really engaging, I thought.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that gets talked about enough.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's not something I noticed or thought about. Okay. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
But yeah, there were a couple of moments where I was just like, oh, that was a really cool shot. Like, that was quite like the bullet cam particularly, I thought was really cool, like awesome, because I don't remember having seen that before. Yeah. So yeah, there were some really bold choices, I think, for a studio horror.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of bold choices for mid-90s especially.
Many choices, some of which were very bold.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good segue to talk about perhaps the boldest choice at the time, and that is to have a black final girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can name maybe 3 other women of colour who survived to the end of a horror film.
Okay.
Off the top of my head.
And are they before this movie or after this movie?
Oh, after, I think.
Okay.
There was Maggie in 13 Ghosts.
13 Ghosts.
There was Carla in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which definitely came after this. And the only other one I can remember is Naomi Harris's character in 28 Days Later. But she's not what I would call a final girl.
No.
In the traditional sense.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that.
So this was like quite, I mean, maybe bold is the wrong word, but kind of, sort of revolutionary.
Sadly, pioneering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pioneering's a really good word for it, actually, yeah. Just the fact that there are 2 really vivid characters in this film who are black women.
Yes.
Is kind of a feat in and of itself for a mainstream, mostly mainstream horror movie in the mid-90s. Yeah. That was kind of unheard of.
And both of those as well. I mean, the collector throughout the movie is trying to entice the people with his charms and promise them their deepest desires. For some people, it's alcohol and boobs. And for other people, it's...
alcohol and boobs? Wow.
But he tries to tempt both Jada Pinkett and hotel owner, whose name
I've forgotten her character name as well, don't worry.
Both of them reject him. So that was interesting to see. The only one that kind of falls through, a few people fall for his chance, but those 2 do not. They kind of immediately, piss off, collector, I'm not interested.
Something that struck me as funny is the people who do kind of succumb to him are all sort of like immodest or immoral. Like they desperately try to justify the deaths, kind of.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I know what you mean. You've got the drunk.
Alcoholic. You've got the burgeoning spree killer that we find out. Was he
Wally? Yeah,
Wally.
Is his name Ruben Fleischer? Or am I thinking of the director of Zombieland?
I don't know.
Whatever his name is, he's the voice of Roger Rabbit, incidentally.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, you're right. He was going to take out a post office with...
Well, yeah, I mean, that was... I don't know when the term first arose, but that's where the term going postal comes from, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
There was the sex worker.
Yep.
Obviously, can't have sex workers.
No.
It did piss me off, actually. It's a bit of a cliche to have, like, the immodest woman die. I was kind of sad about that.
Yeah.
Because she was, like, vaguely sympathetic as well.
Yeah, she seemed like a good person.
Yeah.
She wasn't a bad person. But outside of her, I would agree, they all had kind of flaws or were terrible people. Roach being the most gross and awful person out of the lot of them.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was just an out and out wanker.
I mean, he was a bellend.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he died.
Yeah.
I just wish it had been a bit more slowly.
I'm just going to clip that bit of dialogue.
I think that he should have been taken out with electronic nipple clamps.
That would have been more poetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could have smoked his nipples. What am I saying? Go back to German then.
You're having more success in German. Yeah, so that was the only thing that I thought was kind of maybe to the film's detriment.
Okay.
That they... I might be being too harsh here because it was kind of something that horror as a genre was guilty of as a whole.
Yeah.
In that they sort of sometimes act as like morality tales. And that's where like things like Scream, where the rules came from, and to survive it, you had to be chaste and a virgin and all that guff.
So that goes back to the kind of the slasher movies where they're taking out people that are doing sexy time and smoking grass.
Yeah. How old are you? Yeah. So like anybody who sort of abstains from everything that's fun lives.
Right, got it.
Basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is sort of it is guilty of kind of following the rules in that regard.
Yeah.
Although, again, the thing that bucks the trend is Jada Pinkett's character, because she'd been in jail or juvenile detention.
Yeah,
or...
yes, yeah.
I couldn't really get a handle on how old she was supposed to be. She was pretty young, wasn't she?
I kind of guess like early to mid 20s.
Right.
I guess if I had to say like 22 and 3 months.
That's very precise. Yeah. But it could be adult jail that she'd been to then.
Yes, maybe. Or maybe it could have been adult jail, but she'd been incarcerated.
Yes.
For some unspecified crime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you've got all of that stuff. African American woman.
Yep.
Been in jail.
Yeah.
But ends up saving the day. And it's her actions that actually stop.
She actually has
the end of the world from happening.
The most moral character by the end of the film, and is quite ingenious, like quick thinking, and steadfast in her refusal to sort of bend to Billy Zane.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that...
And she's got a cat, so we stan.
What happened to that cat?
I don't know. It haunts me.
Yeah.
The last 24 hours, all I can think of is, where's the cat? Did the cat survive? I think it survived.
Not in real life.
Damn!
It's 25 years ago.
Stop it!
They locked it up into the loft, and then it was never seen or heard of again. But they made sure that it wasn't possessed.
It wasn't possessed, no. It would be hard to tell, in fairness.
Yeah.
Are you a demon? No, just a cat.
Yeah. That cat's acting weird.
Yes, it's a cat.
It's a cat. So we don't know if the cat... I would presume not, to be honest, because the hotel kind of exploded in a way, didn't it?
Oh, no.
And
I didn't even think of that.
Everyone's dead apart from anyone that's got Jesus Christ's blood all over them.
Whoa. Can we talk about the religious angle?
We can talk about the religious angle if you would like to.
That, to me, really came out of left field.
Okay.
I was not expecting that.
Really?
At all.
Okay.
Which is probably more fool me because demons are somewhat biblical, aren't they?
I mean, I guess. I mean, it's been so long since I saw this movie.
I thought you were going to say it's been so long since I've read the Bible.
I tried once. Rubbish. I knew the ending.
Oh, fuck off.
I'm sure it's great. No judgment. Yeah, it's been so long since I watched this movie for the first time that obviously I just know what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
I don't remember my feelings when that particular thing happened in
But
this
also,
movie.
I guess if you first saw it when you were 12, like the gravity of that sort of stuff wouldn't have impacted you anyway. I wouldn't have had the capacity to understand what the fuck was going on when I was 12.
I mean, I knew, I think.
Did you?
Yeah,
You're a
yeah.
mature 12.
I mean, he was nailed to a cross and they got the blood out of him. So
Well, yeah, but like it's pretty heavy, isn't it?
it's heavy. Yeah, and it's heavy. I just remember really enjoying it.
The
And
Jesus bit specifically.
that, yes, we
Okay.
joke, but specifically that as well.
Okay.
I think I enjoyed kind of how dark it got
Yeah.
in a light-hearted, fluffy,
Yeah.
fun, silly, campy Tales from the Crypt movie.
It was pretty unexpected.
It got pretty dark in there,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it. But it took you by surprise,
Oh, massively.
and you got your pen out immediately to the
Yeah.
quill. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I just, like you say, it's like, it's really campy and it's silly, and that really, really floored me a little bit.
I think I might be maybe misremembering, but I think maybe I had a feeling it was going to be a good versus evil kind of devilly type scenario, and I can't remember being that surprised, but enjoying it completely
Right.
when that stuff happened when I was younger. But I might be misremembering that.
I thought it was cool in that it really added to the mythology.
You spoke about lore
Yeah.
earlier, and it was a nice bit of world building, and
Yeah,
this story
definitely.
goes back 2,000 years when the world started.
I don't love flashbacks generally. I think they can really cheapen a film. I think they can be
Yeah.
really overused. But they were pretty minimal. They gave you just enough.
Yes, and I would much prefer them to see a flashback of that
Than to have a character
William
say
Sadler
it.
say,
Yeah.
I remember that time when JC got nailed to that bit of wood. Yeah, we drained his blood out, and now it's in this bottle. There we go.
Yeah.
And this is what we used to create the magic seal.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. Brutal and enjoyable.
Very,
And
very brutal.
there were demons in that scene as well.
There were.
There was a sweaty puppet in that scene.
I think I've blacked it out.
We can watch it again.
Oh. Speaking of effects, there was an effect that I have loved ever since Nightmare on Elm Street, and that's like the hands
Yes.
through the wall.
Yes.
I love it whenever I see that. Like, it's so transparent how it's done. I think maybe Nightmare on Elm Street pioneered it. I think maybe that was the first
Okay.
instance of it. And I've just loved it ever since. I think it's really cool.
That was in the scene when the collector's trying
It's
to
when
convince.
he's trying to tempt Jada Pinkett.
Yeah, Geraldine. I think
Geraldine, yes.
Geraldine. Yeah.
I remember that because it's a name I've never heard before.
Geraldine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Geraldine.
No.
Geraldine. Yeah, that was. That's something that, as an image, I can remember that very vividly.
Yeah.
But I don't remember it from Nightmare on Elm Street, oddly. But I trust you.
Really?
I'm sure you're correct. Yeah.
I'm not making it up.
I
I
don't
promise.
doubt it. I wouldn't expect that you are.
Um,
Homage or copy?
ooh, why not both?
Homage.
Don't. No. I hate that.
Okay.
It could be both.
Edit that bit out, Phil. I didn't say homage.
I think it can be both. I think it's likely that it's an homage.
Did you notice any other references to other horror or
Nothing
anything?
leapt out at me.
No, same.
Did you expect to see more?
I was kind of hoping to, in a way, because it always makes you feel a bit clever, doesn't it? Like, oh, look, I know movies. That's from another movie that I know. Did you know that I know this movie, Sarah?
I feel vindicated.
But yeah, no, I didn't notice anything which made me sad.
Yeah.
I did a tear.
Maybe they were just done really subtly.
Maybe
we're dumb.
Unlike that other movie we watched the other night.
What was that?
Night of the Creeps. Everyone's got a surname of a famous director.
I love the Creeps.
It was great.
So good.
It was great. It was great, but the references were not subtle.
No, but it was comedic.
Yes, agreed.
I think it was intended. But yeah, I think there were quite a few kind of religious nods in this film. The other one that was glaringly obvious to me was it's set in New Mexico, right? Is it New Mexico?
I don't know. Was it?
You see the sign near the start.
You're correct. Yes.
And the only reason it jumped out at me, do you know what? I'm a fucking idiot because I should have seen the religious stuff coming. Because the town is set in the fictional town of Wormwood.
Okay.
And in the Bible, Wormwood was described as being a star in the Book of Revelations that signalled the end times.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of cool because it, like, for a sort of... Right, this isn't me that's saying this isn't my opinion, but like for a kind of throwaway campy studio horror picture that is like quite anarchic for a studio film, for a start, but like the attention to detail, like the stuff like that, the hints that are kind of peppered through, makes me admire the film even more.
Oh, cool. No, I did not pick up on that. I'm not familiar with the works of Worm or Wood. But interesting. So it did reference another story.
Technically, yeah.
The
just the Bible a lot.
Biggest story.
Yeah. The story. Some would say.
Yeah. What about the stars? Like in the 7 keys and the 7 thing, like all of that number stuff. Has that got any religious relevance, or is that just nonsense?
I want to say
yes. Okay.
But I don't know what.
Okay.
7 stars is a thing. There's a pub in town called the 7 Stars.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we should go there dressed as William Sadler and Billy Zane.
Who's who?
Oh,
Can I be Sadler?
Yes, I was just about to say I want to wear the bald cap, so I'll be Billy Zane. Or shave
no, but you get to wear the cowboy hat.
Yeah, hold down, cowboy, motherfucker. I can do Billy Zane impressions. I want to do it immediately. What time does it close?
So yes, to answer that question, I think it is relevant, but I'm not knowledgeable enough to know why.
Okay. I don't know, because I don't know what they would have taken from scripture and what they would have just kind of made up. I did enjoy one of the kind of self-referential lines of, I think it was Billy Zane. He kind of said, "Oh, there are so many rules. I don't make this stuff up," or something like that. There was like a little line to sort of go, yeah, it's quite convoluted. Some of this stuff, like you've got to shoot the demons in the eyes and the blood of Christ. You can use it to seal doors and windows shut. And there's all these kind of things that go on that could ruin the film. Because there's a lot of that stuff. But it works. And I wonder if that's because they use some actual...
I think it's because they don't overdo the mythology. Okay. It is quite, like, surprisingly dense.
Yeah.
But I think you can also completely enjoy it on a tertiary level.
Yeah.
Like, even if you didn't know what the fuck was going on, there's still a lot to enjoy.
Yeah.
Not that the plot is complicated.
It's a very simple plot.
Yeah. But even if you didn't have a clue about any of the religious references or any of the mythology and the world building, you could definitely still enjoy it for what it is. And just go, cool effects. Yeah. Demons.
Well, I did. That's how I enjoyed it when I was 12 years old. Just, wow, just blood everywhere and violence.
And tits.
Yeah. Boobs, yeah. And that bloke from Gremlins.
Oh, Dick Miller. We haven't even talked about Dick Miller.
How have we got this far?
I don't know.
We've not mentioned Dick Miller once.
In a very rare non-Joe Dante related appearance.
Yeah.
Oh. He was great. He's always great.
He's always great. He's always kind of a bit... is he a curmudgeon? Is he typecast as a curmudgeon?
No, because I think he's generally quite upbeat.
Is
He's
he?
generally quite a nice character.
Is he? Maybe
Yeah.
I'm misremembering that
Like
one.
helpful.
Yeah.
I'm specifically thinking of him in Small Soldiers, and I don't know why.
He was the delivery guy in Small
Yeah.
Soldiers called Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was in Gremlins as Walt. Was it Walt?
Sure.
I don't know. Was it?
Look, you know I'm typically crap with character names.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because I thought I heard a fact. I thought I heard a fact, but it ended up being completely incorrect. But Joe Dante always cast that man. What's his name again?
Dick Miller.
Dick Miller. Yeah, always cast Dick Miller, and always calls him Joe. But when I looked it up,
he doesn't.
He doesn't.
No.
There's one film that he's called Joe in, and that's Small Soldiers.
Fake news.
Yeah. I felt exactly like Alex Jones.
And not for the first time.
Oh, yeah. How dare you? How very dare you? Frogs are not homosexuals.
Some of them are.
Not yet. Well,
Probably.
they probably are, and fair play to them.
It's not specific to the human race. I know that much. There are gay penguins.
There are gay penguins, aren't
Yeah.
there?
So there's probably gay
Yeah.
frogs. Just
Yeah.
not all of them.
Just not all of them, and there's no government plot to specifically try and control the sexuality of said amphibians.
Because that is where the government would start.
That's bound to be priority number one, isn't it? Right, what are we going to spend our money on this year? Right, $5 billion. How are you getting on with the gay frogs?
Yeah, moving on from MK Ultra. How about frogs? Let's tackle frogs,
Yeah.
shall we? Yeah, Dick Miller was always great.
Yeah.
Rip that man.
Yeah, rip that man.
He was
Rip
great.
that man indeed. And it didn't pass away that long ago. In his 90s, I believe.
Yeah, he had a very long, full life.
In the long run, was in some classics. He was that guy
He was
in my childhood.
like one of the ultimate that guys,
Yeah,
I would say.
yeah, agreed.
Along with like Christopher McDonald and Xander Berkeley.
I'm not familiar with Christopher McDonald or Xander Berkeley.
What? Oh, J.K. Simmons then.
I know J.K. Simmons.
But like the average person wouldn't. I mean,
Oh,
he would
okay.
be like that guy.
Would
that
he?
guy's in it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Like
I think.
Delroy Lindo.
Yeah, sure.
He's that guy from 2005.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might have been that guy 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think he's that guy now.
He's that guy from the one and or Gone in 60 Seconds.
Sure.
He's the helpful cop. He's always the helpful cop. Delroy. I love Delroy Lindo. Anyway, this is not a Delroy Lindo podcast.
So my ultimate question as we start to wind things down.
Okay.
Do you think it was an uplifting ending?
Well, I mean, given the circumstances, yeah. I think it was. Everybody died apart from Jimmy Pinkett.
I think it was really happy and uplifting. Everyone died.
But the alternative was Billy Zane gets the Christ blood key and
Yeah.
the whole universe plunges into darkness. So I think on the one side you've got ultimate darkness, demons, death, pain, misery,
Gooey
and
puppets
suffering.
everywhere.
Gooey puppets everywhere. And on the other side you've got a nice bus ride.
All right, I'll rephrase. Do you think it was a happy ending for Geraldine? She lost her cat in all probability. I'm torn on this.
In a way, I would say yes.
Because when it got to the end and she got on the bus and she like poured the blood in the doorway to like create the seal again.
Right.
And part of me was just like, oh, she's still trapped like she was in jail.
Oh my God. It's a metaphor. You were looking for metaphors in Demon Knight.
I don't know. I just didn't see it as like it being a happy ending, so to speak.
That's interesting. I think when I was a youngster, I probably saw it as quite a bleak ending.
Yeah.
But this time, I didn't feel that way. I kind of felt, oh, she's found her place. Like she's no longer... because the whole way through the film, you find out that she really wants to go travelling, and clearly she's going to have the time to do that now.
Yeah.
I guess when you become a demon slayer, that your criminal record just gets wiped.
Yeah, nothing but vacation time.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, no, I thought it was a pretty happy ending. She's got a purpose. She knows what she needs to do. She's a badass. But I don't think that blood's going to last very long in the bottle.
Not if she's like whizzing it around the boss already.
Immediately, the first piece of transport she gets on, she's pouring that blood into in the doorway. Yeah, it's not going to last long at all. And it's got to last one, possibly several lifetimes, as Saddlebag said.
Yeah. It's like basically like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Is there one born to every generation? Or do they not get... They didn't delve into that in the mythology.
They didn't, did they? They just sort of went, oh, Breaker, he was in the war.
Well, he hadn't aged since at least the Second World War.
17, I think it was.
Oh, the First World War.
Yeah, I think so.
He looked damn good for his age then.
Yeah, he must have moisturised, I guess.
Stayed out the sun.
Yeah, yeah. He was a demon knight, wasn't he?
Oh my God. Fighter of the Demon Day.
Oh no. Oh no, I really regret not thinking of that first. Demon.
Oh no. You're going to punish me with that all evening now, aren't
Yeah. Is that going to be that or...
That's like my new favourite jam after last night.
Is it?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the film ends and we go straight back to the Crypt Keeper dressed as some weird amalgamation of Robert Altman and Samuel L. Jackson.
I got some Joel Schumacher vibes in there.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But he got Final Cut?
He did. And he got to go to the premiere.
Yeah. Yeah, that was enjoyable. The premiere of Demon Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really meta, wasn't it?
It was super fun.
Yeah.
Super fun. I feel like it's almost pointless asking you to kind of wrap up and give me your final thoughts.
My final thoughts are that this is a brilliant movie.
Yeah, I figured it would be. That's not a shock.
And if you've listened to this episode and you've not seen it, firstly, why?
What are you doing with your life?
Yeah, we've just ruined it for you.
It took me 39 years to see mad. Demon Knight, and I deeply regret waiting as long as I did.
You know, earlier on we said that, well, I always think that any movie, I think, is enhanced if you don't know anything about it. I think there's not a single film that I think that you can watch if you go into it with as little knowledge as possible. You can be as surprised as you can.
Yeah.
I think with this one, yes, you will enjoy it more if you don't know anything about it. But equally...
It's not one that's going to be ruined by spoilers.
And I think, like, I enjoy it just as much every time I see it as the first time I saw it.
Do you know what? As soon as we finished watching it last night, I did kind of have the thought of like, oh, yeah, I think that's going to be a really fun rewatch.
Yeah.
Yay! You'll be pleased to know.
How do you say yes in German?
Oh, God, I should know that.
You should know that.
Why don't I know that?
I don't know.
I could say it Kaiser Sarah.
What does that mean?
My name is Sarah.
Okay. Well, you just have to say that then.
Okay.
Yeah, brilliant movie. Do watch it if you haven't.
Yeah, agreed. It's a hard recommend from me.
And if you have, watch it again.
Yeah. Right now.
Buy the German Blu-ray off Amazon for £12. Because it works on a DVD player.
And then critique Dan's pronunciation.
Yeah. Also, if you know German, let me know. Let me know what I said.
I don't think we have any German listeners.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but I think you're okay. I don't think you mortally offended anybody at the start of the show.
So I could have just played it cool.
You could have
sweet. I just did German. No, doesn't matter.
It could have been Pig Latin, and nobody would have known.
Okay. That's the one in the mask when they swap words around.
It's not specific to the mask.
Okay.
But
I've heard of Pig Latin from the mask. So you liked it?
I did. I really liked it. I didn't love it. Do you know what I think it would be a super fun double bill with?
Go on.
And we're going to have to do this because it's one of my favourite films from the 90s.
All right.
Freaked.
Really?
Yeah.
The Alex Winter one?
The Alex Winter one.
Okay.
I think a lot of the effects kind of low-key made me think of Freaked.
Really?
Yeah. And they've got the same sort of very, very specifically 90s sense of humour.
Okay. It's been a long time. I must admit, it's been a long time.
There we go. There's our excuse.
Okay, we'll do it then.
Okay.
Freaked and Demon Knight double bill.
Yeah, sounds good to me. But yeah, 2 thumbs up.
Awesome.
I'm happy I got to see it.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to watch it with you. And we own it now, so we can watch it as much as we like. Excellent. Now? Yes. Okay. No, we need to go to the pub dressed as William Sadler and Billy Zane. Straight after. Yeah. Well, on that note, I think that's
as good a time as any to say thank you heaps for listening. Thank you for making it this far, if you're still listening. If you want to support us, we do have a Patreon. I'll link everything below, including all of the social media. And I'm stoked to cover the next film because it's an absolute, like, top 10 of all time classic horror.
Are you allowed to say now, or do you kind of say
No,
that?
I'm going to keep it to myself for now.
All right.
I'll tease it on Instagram before the fact, so make sure you're following us. Until then, thank you so much for joining me, Dan.
No problem.
And stay spooky.
Bye.